K.C. Massey is charged with having a firearm down at the border. You are a convicted felon, but it's been 16 years since that happened. Under Texas law, you're in the clear.
Well, it's been 27 years since the conviction, 16 years since I've been legal by state law to own and possess a firearm.
And so the federal government doesn't have any such provision, and they've decided to charge you under a certain statute which provides what?
Well, the federal government, by the Constitution, does not have any right to regulate firearms, period. The federal government only has the authority to regulate commerce. Their authority is delegated and enumerated in the Constitution, and it says very clearly that they have the power to regulate commerce. Commerce is the moving of goods or services between states. They've charged me under the commerce provision with having a firearm while engaged in commerce. I was never engaged in commerce. I have been a private Texas citizen living on private Texas land. I was on private land that I had care, custody, and control of, at permission to be on, and it was land that I lived on. The federal government has no jurisdiction or authority. The laws that are regarding the commerce that they're charging me with were gangster era laws that were created in the 30s that had to do with the gangsters and the mobsters going across state lines, trafficking in illegal goods and carrying firearms. And then also because of the fact back then you could mail order a firearm and have it sent directly to your home. That was another thing that the law addressed, because they made it illegal for you to have a firearm shipped directly to you. They have to all go through an FFL, Federal Firearms Dealer.
All right then, now we're talking about an incident that took place at a bird sanctuary, which is near southmost in Brownsville, and it is on the other side of the border fence, the security fence that the United States built. This is a private game preserve which is under control of a conservationist group, or
it's a preserve. It's also a historic, Texas historic landmark. It is one of the oldest slave plantations in the state of Texas. It is a historical landmark. They have a lot of diverse animals, birds. It's a nature sanctuary. It's where people go to enjoy nature and to look at the indigenous animals of the area. They were having problems with the illegals crossing through their property, and with the illegal traffic came a lot of trash and a lot of damage to the plant life, and took away the security for their customers that would come there, the people that came to birdwatch.
And do you suspect that while that was going on, that you may have been interfering with some trafficking and contraband, or that is illegal drugs, that were very lucrative for someone, and it was making waves for, let's say, the drug cartel?
Absolutely. At the time when we first started patrolling the property, we assumed, because we had already been patrolling several miles of the border right close to where this property was, and it was a human smuggling area. We hadn't dealt with any narco trafficking. And when I originally went and talked to Mr. Aguilar, he never mentioned that it was narco trafficking. He just said illegal traffic. So we assumed that it was people traffic. Well, after the shooting, we found out that that was a narco trafficking area.
And the shooting took place when an individual named Mr. Forster, one of your men, he had a weapon that you had loaned him.
The statement that Mr. Forster had a pistol that I gave him is accurate in the fact that I was the camp commander. He did not have a personal weapon. I checked Second part of that is what had happened that day is we had met Mr. Aguilar. He gave us permission. We were out doing our normal procedure of finding, identifying, cleaning, and clearing and marking these crossings. In the process of this, the third spot that we had cleared and cleaned up and marked, when we came back to the top of the road, ridge, we met a Border Patrol agent on foot. That alarmed us because normally you never see a Border Patrol agent on foot. So I approached him and I said, you know, hey, what's going on? And he said that they were actively pursuing illegal immigrants that were being pushed towards us, which would be in the direction coming from west to east. And so the river was immediately to our east. So I asked the agent if he needed our backup because we heard voices in the river behind us, and my concern was that the agent, somebody would sneak up behind him while he was standing on the road. So the agent said yes, that he wanted our backup. So I deployed my men, John to the south, myself to the middle, and Wolf to the northern position to watch the river to make sure that nobody came up behind the Border Patrol agent. While I was in my position, you know, like I said, I just dispatched my men. John went, he followed the agent that we had met on the road. They went south. I went down into the brush in the middle, and Wolf went north. While I was in my covered position, I was observing heavily tattooed, I believe to be Mexican, that was waist deep in the river, walking back and forth, yelling commands up and down the river. While I was watching him, I heard gunshots. It was boom, 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 boom. And at first, my immediate thought was that it was the cartel across the river shooting because they knew that we were in the brush. I thought they were just trying to scare us. So I stayed in my position. A few minutes later, the guy that I'm watching got out of my peripheral view because I was looking through heavy brush. When he got where I couldn't see him anymore, I went to reposition myself to come up to the top, move down, and then drop back down again. Well, when I got to the top of the road, Wolf was there and he met me. And he said the Border Patrol was looking for me. And I asked him what for. He said he didn't know, but that they had headed south on the road. So I took off walking south, and I met BP Agent Cantu, who was walking north, and he was holding the firearm that John had that day. And John was approximately 20 feet behind him, and then there was another Border Patrol agent that was another 30 feet behind him. No weapons were drawn. John was not in handcuffs. There was no tenseness to the situation. And so when the Cantu approached me, I asked him, I said, what's going on? And he said that one of his agents had just discharged a firearm toward one of my teammates. And it was John. And so I asked John, are you okay? Did you get hit? You know, I don't see any blood. Everything's fine. He said, yeah, I'm fine. And he was agitated. He was somewhat. Cantu, look, nobody got hurt, nobody got shot, so we can just drop this thing, it's no big deal. Cantu informed me that because it was a federal agent and he had discharged his firearm, that there had to be an investigation. And that's when he asked me to relocate, and we moved out of that area to the staging area.